Hello guys, and welcome back to another cold episode. On today's episode, as you can tell by the title and the thumbnail, I am going to be doing a basic combo guide for Plunder. Plunder has a whole lot of different things that you gotta remember and you gotta know if you want to play it. Yeah, this is just going to be like a basic guide to allow you to play the deck without just going in blind and being like, what the heck do all of my cards do? So, there's that. If you want a more advanced guide, it's going to take a little bit longer just because I need to know like all of the different intricacies with the deck, but I'll go through a sort of the basics here. So this is going to be mostly about the deck building and stuff like that. Now, this is obviously going to be paired with the adventure engine, so it's not going to be a pure Plunder deck, just because the adventure engine pairs so very nicely with it. So yeah, let's just quickly do the card by card and the explanation. So, starting off here with what I believe to be the best Plunder in Whitebeard. Whitebeard says, during your opponent's turn, quick effect, you can special summon a Plunder monster from your extra deck with the same attribute as monsters your opponent controls or in their graveyard. And if you do, equip this card you control to it. If this card is sent from the hand or monster zone to the graveyard, you can activate this effect. Special summon one Plunder Patrol monster from your deck, except himself. Also, you cannot special summon monsters for the rest of this turn except Plunder Patrol monsters. You can only use each effect once per turn. So, the reason that this guy is absolutely crazy is because he special summons from deck, allowing you to utilize his effect to go into any of the other ones, as long as you pitch him to the graveyard from your hand, or if you like link him off for something else, or use him as like a synchro or fusion material as well. If he goes to the graveyard, you're able to get that additional special summon. However, his first effect is one of the things that Plunder is known for, being able to use him to tag out into one of your ships, as I will call them. So we have 4 unique ships. We have a fire ship, we have a light ship, a dark ship, and a water captain slash ship. So, all 4 of these have unique effects that we will get into later, but just know that your opponent needs to control or have in their graveyard one of these attributes, which means no earth, nor divine, nor wind for you to go into. But as long as they control one of those other types, you are able to go into any one of these ships. So, obviously, if you want to go into the Xyz, you're going to need a dark monster for your opponent to control them. However, you can also just hard make all of these guys as well. So, do keep that in mind. You don't always have to tag out for them. It also equips himself to the monster, which allows them to gain benefits when they have a monster equipped to them. So that's very nice. That's why I would believe that he is the best. Then, in no particular order, I don't think it really matters. Golden Hair tends to get your combo started, or at least can get your combo started. So, this card can special summon itself from the hand as well as from the grave, which is very useful. You can send one other Plunder monster from your hand or face-up field to the graveyard to special summon this card from your hand. And if it's in the graveyard, you could just discard a card to special summon it. And then it locks you into Plunders with the graveyard effect. So, there you go. That's basically all you need to know. It's also a tuner, which is very nice. So you can use both of these are tuners. So you can use either of those to go into the synchro, or you could potentially also go Crystron Helcafibrax. The problem with that is that their effects do lock you into Plunders, so it's a little bit more difficult to actually utilize the Crystron Helcafibrax combo. So most people don't really see the value in it just because the locks are so strenuous. So, not really worth it to play that, but you can still go into the synchro with that. Then we have Black Eyes. This is the newest support for the Plunder cards in terms of a monster. I think they may have gotten something else. But you can target a Plunder monster in your graveyard, special summon this card from your hand, and if you do, add that monster back to your hand. Also, you cannot special, except for Plunders, for the rest of this turn. Makes sense? All 3 of these do lock you, but that's because their effects are very powerful. They're all basically free special summons, and this one adds back a Plunder monster as well. Also, if it's in the grave, or if it's sent from the hand or monster zone to the graveyard, you can target a plunder monster in your spell and trap card zone and special summon it in defense position. This is a very niche effect, but it does come up every once in a while where you end up discarding this in order to get your, something like a Whitebeard back onto the field, or a Redbeard, which also has the effect to tag out during the opponent's turn. So, utilizing this guy, pitching a card, and then specialing out this guy just to get you that extra advantage on your opponent's turn. Then we have Bluebeard. Bluebeard can special summon itself if you control another plunder monster. Pretty simple. And then if it is sent from the hand or monster zone to the graveyard, you can discard a card to draw a card. Now, again, this is pretty good because you could discard something like a Whitebeard in order to get another special summon from the deck off of your Bluebeard. So, very nice. And then the last card we have is Redbeard. Redbeard has the same first effect as Whitebeard, where it can tag out in order to get a ship from your extra deck, matching an attribute that your opponent controls or in their graveyard. Also, if it is sent from the hand or monster zone to the graveyard, you can target a plunder monster you control and equip this card to it. This one's less useful, which is why we're most of the time, at least with the plunder engine, the adventure engine, you're only playing 2 of this card. It's nice to see, and it's a good normal summon, but it's not like the best thing to get your combo started, and more importantly, it's not like the greatest send effect, because it does require you to have a plunder on your side of the field, which means if you start your combo by discarding this card, it's not going to do anything. So, there you go. Then we have Plunder Patroll Shipyard, and this is normally how you will end up winning games, is through this card. Reason being, it can make your cards very, very large. Plunder Patrol monsters you control gain 500 attack for each Plunder Patrol card in your spell and trap card zone, including monsters and spells and traps. Now, this only counts Plunder Patrol cards, so the things like the Dracoback as well as the Fateful Adventure aren't necessarily going to count, but all in all, that shouldn't matter too much. You can discard a card to add a Plunder Patrol card from your deck to your hand, except Shipyard, and if it is sent, or if it is in the graveyard, you can target a Plunder Patrol card in your spell and trap card zone, set this card, return the target to the hand. So, this card is very good. It is able to recur itself while also giving you back some advantage if need be, but most importantly, you can discard to add another Plunder Patrol, whatever it may be that you need. So, of course, this card is absolutely crazy, and most of the time, what you're going to end up searching is either something like a Whitebeard, or just like a normal summon that you may need, or Plunder Patrol Booty. This card is a trap card that is very useful because it changes attributes of the opponent's monsters, allowing you to use said monsters to go into any of your specific extra deck monsters that you want to go into. So, you can declare an attribute, then target a face-up monster your opponent controls. It becomes that attribute until the end of the turn, even if this card leaves the field. Then, you can take a Plunder Patrol monster from your graveyard, either special summon it or shuffle it into the deck. So, this is very good, but it does have to resolve everything before you can special summon. So do keep that in mind. You have to declare an attribute, you have to target a face-up monster, and you have to actually change the attribute, and then you can special summon. It's still very good, but there are a few instances where you're not able to target, or there's not a face-up monster, or something like that, so you don't get the graveyard revival effect. All in all, it's still very strong, and it allows you to close out games more efficiently, and it's just that constant recursion of being able to special summon and go into immediately one of your extra deck monsters that you may need. Now, we're actually going to skip a few of these cards in this list and go and talk about the actual extra deck monsters. So, starting off with the Link monster of Blackbeard, the Plunder Patrol Captain. This card, you can target one effect, quick effect. It just requires 2 monsters, including a plunder. So you don't need 2 plunders, just a plunder and anything else. You can make this guy. Quick effect, you can target one effect monster you control. Special summon a Plunder Patrol monster from your extra deck with the same attribute as monsters your opponent controls or in their graveyard. And if you do equip that target to it, then draw a card. So, a few things to note about this. This is a hard once per turn as well. You can target Blackbeard itself. You can special summon anything as long as your opponent controls or has in their graveyard. And it can be Ash Blossomed because it draws a card as part of the effect. So it can be ashed. It's really annoying, but it's Yeah, I mean, it's really annoying that it can be Ash. But this is a phenomenal start to your combo, allowing you to potentially go into any of these other ones, especially if you have, say, a booty on the field. You activate the booty, your opponent summons a monster, you change the monster's attack or attribute, you use your Blackbeard. You could even target itself, target the Blackbeard, tag out into another one of your extra deck monsters, and you're off to the races. As for the other targets that you would want to go into, let's start with Bran. Bran is basically your way to deal with back row. So, all other fiend monsters you control gain 500 attack. So this guy's at 25, everything else is boosted by 5. This is very nice, and is one of the key combo pieces for OTKing. You can discard a Plunder Patrol card, any Plunder Patrol card, in order to target a spell or trap your opponent controls and banish it. Now, most of the removal in this deck is actually banishing, which is very good. However, it is targeted banish, so do keep that in mind. You can add a Plunder Patrol monster from your deck to your hand. Then you can add a Plunder Patrol monster from your deck to your hand. So, if you banish a card, you get to add a card. So you're just adding that recursion. Which is very good, especially if you end up discarding something like a Whitebeard. Like a Whitebeard, which is then going to special summon, or if you discard something like a Water Enchantress, which could then be used on the following turn. Well, you can't actually discard that, sorry. But like you could discard, any other Plunder Patrol card, and a lot of them have recursion. Oh, I forgot to mention, this card does have a hard once per turn, and during the end phase, if you don't control a Plunder Patrol monster, you send it to the grave. So you do need to control a Plunder Patrol card for you to activate this, but if you're able to special summon from the grave, that shouldn't be a problem. Sorry. Also, back to Bran. So, if it has a card equipped to it, or I should say a Plunder Patrol card equipped to it, the banish effect is quick. So you can quick effect banish a card your opponent controls. This is very nice if you are using something like a Whitebeard or a Redbeard to go into the Bran. You are able to just banish an opponent's back row on their turn, and then banish another one on yours, which can be very good against back row reliant decks. And then, obviously, you can only use it once per turn. Pretty simple. Moving on, we have Liss. Liss is... Well, let's just read it. During your main phase, you can special summon a Plunder Patrol monster card from your hand or face-up spell and trap zone. So, this is a quick effect. During the main phase, you just get to special summon out a either from the hand or from the spell and trap card zone. This card is very, very solid, just allowing you access to something like a Whitebeard or something from your hand at quick effect speed. On top of that, you can even use this during your turn to just gain that extra advantage of another monster that you may need on your side of the field. But the main thing is when your opponent activates a monster effect, quick effect, discard a plunder, negate the activation, destroy it, then if this card is equipped with a Plunder Patrol card, you can add a Plunder Patrol card from your deck to your hand. So both of these have the ability to add another card from your deck to your hand. Very, very nice. This one obviously is a quick effect. It has to be. So if it has something equipped, it's not, or it's a search. If it doesn't have something equipped, you can still negate and destroy. Very, very nice. Overall, one of the best cards. You can play this at either 2 or 3. But yeah, the biggest difficulty is actually being able to hard summon it. You can hard summon the Bran pretty easily. You can hard summon the Moark, and obviously you can hard summon the Blackbeard. This one's the hardest one to hard summon. But with as many light cards as there are running around in the format, this is not too difficult to tag out into. The last card that we have, or the last ship, I should say, is Moark. Moark, discard a plunder, target infect monster your opponent controls, banish it, then you can add a Plunder Patrol spell or trap from your deck to your hand. This is a quick effect if it is equipped with a plunder card. You can only use it once per turn. If a Plunder Patrol card you control would be destroyed by a battle or a card effect, you can detach material from this card instead. So this does add a little bit of protection. I don't know how often the protection effect comes up, because most of the time I find that I'm just tagging into the Mowork to get the banish effect, since that one doesn't require the detach of a material. However, in all honesty, being able to go into a Mowork that is difficult to out isn't bad on simplified game states, as well as, you know, having access to Zeus is, you know, something that you can also go into after protecting with Mowork. So there's that. All in all, not bad. However, do keep in mind, a lot of times you'll be locked into plunders, so maybe don't go Mowork and then try to attack your opponent and then realize you can't make Zeus. So there's that. But yeah, all in all, a very solid card. The main removal for monsters that you are going to be utilizing, especially since it is also a quick effect. Yeah, and those are all of the ships. Yeah, let's move on to the adventure engine. I'm going to go over these quickly, but basically, Water Enchantress grabs you Rite of Aramesir by banishing itself from hand or graveyard. Rite of Aramesir gets you a 2000 token, and it also sets a Fateful Adventure. Fateful Adventure allows you to search out the Wandering Griffin Rider, as well as, I believe, the Dracoback. And then the Dracoback, if it's discarded or just sent to the graveyard while you control the token, it can equip itself to the token. And then the Wandering Griffin Rider can quick effect special summon itself if you control, if you control no monsters or an adventure token. You special summon this, and then it is an Omni Negate. Pretty simple. I'm not going to explain this too much. If you don't know what this does, it just sets up an Omni Negate and a 2000 token. That's basically it. But everything kind of revolves around the token. Yeah, that's more or less it. The reason that this pairs so well with the Plunder cards is because the big thing that Rite of Aramesir does is, in order to activate it, you cannot activate the effects of monsters on the field the turn you activate this, except special summoned monsters. So, if you normal summon a monster, you can't activate its effect, but if you special summon something, you can. None of these cards have effects that activate the turn they are normaled. None of them. So it pairs very well in that regard, on top of the fact that it wants to discard cards, and Water Enchantress can activate in the grave, so you could just discard this, and then you have it in the grave, and then you could just banish it, and you're off to the races anyway. On top of, you know, Dracoback also being able to equip, and just being able to set up an Omni Negate and potentially survive a turn for your opponent to set up something that you could potentially tag into, like a dark monster or a light monster, or something along those lines. Moving on, we have Terraforming. This is a key component of the deck. You need to see your Shipyard, so playing Terraforming is very nice. You could also play Metaverse. I don't think that's necessary, as well as just any of those other field spell grabbing cards. Realistically, not necessary too much, because you have other ways of searching Shipyard. But yeah, Terraforming is very nice. And then other just generic hand traps. This is more so for Master Duel. So Maxi, Ash Blossom, Nibiru, Called by, Cross Out, stuff like that. Pretty standard stuff. Yeah, just what you would expect, right? Moving on, there are a few cards that are rather interesting. So let's talk about Shipping. This card is the fusion spell for the archetype, allowing you to go into Liss. Most people don't play this. Reason being, it's not the greatest, and it kind of just takes up space. Sometimes it's just like a dead card in hand. However, it is a Plunder Patrol card, so I really like this card as well as Emblem, and I'll explain why. So it just fusion summons a Fiend fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or field as material. But the important effect is this next one. You can banish it from the graveyard, target a Plunder Patrol monster you control, equip an emblem of the Plunder Patrol, or a Plunder Patrol monster from your deck to that target. So this is very nice because you can discard it for an effect like your Golden Hair or any of your other Plunder Patrol cards. And then you can immediately use that effect to get an equip card onto the field, which could then be used with Liss to like special summon out a Whitebeard, or you could use this to get an emblem. Emblem is very interesting and is extremely helpful when it comes to closing out games. Here's why. Equip only to a Plunder Patrol monster. It gains 500 attack. Also, your opponent cannot target it with card effects. That's not the important part. Gaining the 500 attack is nice. Putting a Plunder Patrol spell or trap or just anything into your spell and trap card zone for Shipyard means that your monsters are going to gain basically 1,000 overall from this card, which is very nice. But you can send this equip card to the graveyard. Special summon a Plunder Patrol monster from the extra deck with the same attribute as monsters on the field or in the graveyard. This includes your own. Meaning, if you're in a simplified game state, or if you are like going second and your opponent ends up not really having much that you can work with, if you are able to utilize this card and say there's an Ash Blossom in your graveyard, or there's an Effect Veiler, or you have a Golden Hair in the graveyard, or a Gamma, or something along those lines, right? Some sort of other attribute that you could potentially go into. You can use this card to, you just like normal summon a monster, activate this card, you can tribute off the monster, special summon out one of your ships. You just get a special summon out the ship. And then obviously you take the monster that was equipped with this card and equip it to the special summon monster. As an equipped spell with this effect, it gains 500. So the monster also gains an additional 500 attack, but now you can get a ship onto your side of the field. Very, very nice. Understand? I think we understand. This card, I mostly use it just to OTK. Most people don't use it because you don't really need help clearing boards nearly as much with the adventure stuff, just due to Dracoback and Griffin Rider and the token all being rather large and being able to deal enough damage. So most of the time it's not too necessary, but I do really like this card, and it's definitely something to play before the adventure stuff comes out. All in all, very solid card. Moving on, we have two other trap cards for the Plunder Patrols. We have Plunder Patrol Party, which, if you control a Plunder Patrol monster, draw cards equal to the number of equipped cards you control plus 1, then shuffle cards from your hand into the deck equal to the number of equipped cards you control. So it's basically, you go plus 1 with this. Kind of. I mean, you go neutral, but you're able to more easily sculpt your hand if you're able to, like, have a lot of equip cards. It's okay. But once per turn, if you special summon a Plunder Patrol monster from your extra deck while this card is in your graveyard, you can equip this card to that special summon monster, and then it gains 500. It's okay. Most people don't play it. It's something to consider if you need to get over some big monsters or something like that. It gets another monster or spell or trap into your spell and trap card zone for party, which could be useful. But yeah, it's basically just like a neutral advantage card. You can kind of like sculpt your deck, very similar to Saryuja or Saryuja. So it's okay, but yeah, most people don't play it. And then we have Pride of the Plunder Patrol. If your Plunder Patrol monster destroys an opponent's monster by battle, draw a card. If you control a Plunder Patrol monster, you can send this face-up card to the graveyard. From the field to the graveyard, then activate one of these effects. Your opponent draws a card, then you look at their hand and send a monster from it to the graveyard. Look at your opponent's extra deck and send a monster from it to the graveyard. Realistically, how good is this effect? Not great. Sure, you can just like set it on the opponent's turn. You can activate it, flip it up. You could potentially get rid of a card that they need from their hand, or you could get rid of like a DPE or something along those lines in their extra deck, which is nice. But again, it's just a little bit too slow to really pull too much value because it's not easy to search and you don't want to be maxing out on it because it does require a Plunder Patrol monster. And the only way that you're really going to get a lot of advantage is if you're attacking over an opponent's monster to get that draw card. So not really worth it. Yeah, both of these are okay, kind of niche, mostly not played. Then I have a whole bunch of just like tech cards that you can also throw into the deck. So we have Harpy's Feather Duster, or just back row removal. I should say throw into the deck or side deck, depending on what format you're playing in. So back row removal is always useful. You can always throw that in. We have things like Token Collector for Sword Soul. or just any token-esque shenanigans with like Halcyon lines and stuff like that. We have Artifact Lancia to prevent opponents from banishing things, which also means that you're able to keep their cards in the graveyard specifically so that you can use the effects of your plunders to tag out more efficiently. Very nice. Rivalry of Warlords is also very nice. It does lock you basically under just the plunder stuff, but it is very nice because all of your plunder stuff is fiends, and Rivalry specifically says type, so you're good to just kind of go into anything plunder related with the Rivalry. We have Ghost Spell, pretty simple. Dimensional Barrier, also pretty simple. It stops things like the Sword Soul as well as Branded, so there we go. Gamma's a light, very nice. You can also discard it, and then again with Emblem, it's okay. But yeah, all in all, it mostly depends on what your opponent's doing. Droplet, just board break. Also, Droplet being able to send cards means that things like Whitebeard and the like will also activate. So it's not the worst. And then we have DD Crow as well. As for the rest of the extra deck, we have a little bit of a few necessary cards. Almirage is 100% necessary for the Golden Hair. Your normal Golden Hair, you link into Almirage. Golden Hair discards a card, special summons itself, and then you can go into Blackbeard immediately. So it is a one-card starter with the Almirage, 100% necessary. As for the rest of these, Bahamut Shark and Toad are nice. All of your monsters are water, so you can just go into the Bahamut Shark, bring out the Toad, and then you can also use the remaining material, depending on what you have, in order to go into another, a Blackbeard, so you can have the Omni Negate and a Blackbeard, which is also very nice. And then, of course, you could throw in Zeus as well. Zeus is just a good card, and you are playing Xyz, so it does make sense to play. However, if you are summoning Moerk, you need to summon it without using a tag out effect, if that makes sense, because you're not going to have any materials on the Zeus. And I believe Downerd requires level 3 or lower, or rank 3 or lower. So, like, if you were to attack with Toad and then go Downerd, you could do that, but so yeah, you could even cut Zeus if you wanted to. It's really not necessary, since it is very difficult to summon this guy without being plunder locked. And then the rest of these cards are just kind of whatever you want. Just anything, basically. One card I forgot to mention is Pot of Desires. So, Pot of Desires is actually a very, very good card in this deck as well, just because you are playing 3 of basically everything. The biggest problem is that if you're playing it with the adventure stuff, banishing any of these turns off the plunder, or turns off the adventure stuff entirely. So if you're able to get through the adventure line, then Pot of Desires becomes better. So there's that. Something to consider. You could also play Pot of Prosperity as well, to get you to specific pieces if you wanted to. Since you're not really drawing cards on your turn most of the time, the only card that really draws is Blackbeard. It's the only one that draws specifically. So, there you go. That's going to be it. Let's hop into the actual combo guide. Before we get on to the rest of the video, did you know that 70% of the people who watch my content aren't subscribed? If you end up liking the content, consider subscribing. You can always unsubscribe later if you end up not liking it. Anyway, let's get on to the rest of the video. Alright, so here we have a more or less full combo with our Terraforming and Water Enchantress, and then just any other card that you can discard. So we're going to start off with the Terraforming. Terraforming will search out our Shipyard. And this could just be Shipyard as well. Or, if you don't have Shipyard and something to discard, you could also do this with just the Water Enchantress and Golden Hair. Sorry. Not what I wanted. Okay. Hold on. There we go. So you can activate the effect. You can discard this guy to the graveyard, and then you can search out the Golden Hair. Then we can activate the effect of our... we can banish the Water Enchantress, and we can search out the Rite of Aramesir. We can activate the Rite of Aramesir. We can go and... Oh, sorry. Token first. Token. Do attack. And then we can grab ourselves a Fateful Adventure, which would then be activated. That goes to Grave. We then activate the Fateful Adventure, I believe. Hold on. No. Sorry. No, yeah. Right? What's during your main phase, you can add a monster. Yeah. So, you activate this. You search out the Wandering Griffin Rider. And then you can special summon the Wandering Griffin Rider, and then the Wandering Griffin Rider will proc the Fateful Adventure, and Fateful Adventure will search the Draco back. So, that's the adventure line. So now we have an Omni Negate, as well as a bounce on the opponent, or on our turn, and a token that once per turn isn't going to be destroyed by battle. So there you go. On top of not having used our normal summon. So what we can do is we can now normal summon out our Golden Hair. We can send it to the graveyard for the link summon of our Almirage. We can then use the effect in the graveyard in order to special summon out our Golden Hair once again by pitching whatever it is that we have in our hand. And then we can go into a Blackbeard. And now, Blackbeard is rather interesting because it by itself is very strong, just allowing you to tag out at quick effect speed to deal with whatever it may be is very nice. So yeah, there we go. That is more or less the basic combo of what you want to accomplish. You want to set up the Rite of Aramesir stuff. This could also have been, instead of the Water Enchantress, if you had another card to discard, you could have just gone for the Rite of Aramesir and gone from there. So, there you go. That's more or less the full combo that you want to accomplish. Alright, so here we have more of a bread and butter plunder combo without the adventure stuff. Now, to be fair, it is a 3 specific card combo, but the Black Eyes could be taken out and it would still be fine. You don't really need it, but it is necessary to get the extension that we want. So if you have a hand that looks like this, or similarly, you could have Golden Hair and another Plunder card in your hand. So if you have those, that would also work. But this is just like the best way to get to this. But we start off with the normal summon of Whitebeard, and then we use the effect of our Bluebeard in order to special summon itself. Now we have 2 water level 4s that we can use to go into a... Oh, sorry, hold on. Let's overlay. And then we can go into a Bahamut Shark. We can detach one of these guys. It doesn't matter what we detach. And then we can go for a Toad. Not what I wanted. But it's fine, because what we are going to end up doing is we are going to special summon out this guy by returning the Whitebeard to the hand, and then we would have the Bahamut Shark still on the field, and then we would use the Bahamut Shark and the Black Eyes in order to go for a Blackbeard. So now we have the Omni Negate as well as the Blackbeard on our side of the field, and we have a Whitebeard in our hand, or this could also be a Redbeard, or realistically just any normal summon. And yeah, we can use that in order to just be discard fodder for whatever we choose to go into. Make sense? Makes sense. Alright, let's say that throughout the course of the game, you've gotten a Plunder Patrol booty on your side of the field during your opponent's turn. So, one thing that you can do is, depending on what you are playing against, whether it is a monster-heavy deck or a spell and trap card-heavy deck, you can change the attribute of an opponent's monster. As long as they have a face-up monster, you could do this, and then bring back one of your either Whitebeard or Redbeard. Realistically, you're going to have one or the other in your graveyard throughout the course of the game, and if you don't, you're screwed. Good luck. But hopefully you have one and you're able to just special it back on the opponent's turn. Now, if we are going for a monster-heavy deck, we're playing against a monster-heavy deck, they're trying to make Baron or something along those lines, what we can do is we can change one of their attributes to Dark, right? And then we can use the effect of our Plunder Patrol. We send this guy to the Spell and Trap card zone, which I cannot do for some reason. There we go. And then we get to special summon out our Mowerk. Now, Mowerk, having that equip card, or having that card equipped to it, allows us to banish whatever card we so chose. We can even use the booty to change the attribute of the monster that we want to banish, and then just without them being able to respond, unless they have a quick effect, without them being able to respond, we can target and banish it away. So, very nice. And then we get to add a Plunder Patrol card. Or what we could do is we could also go for a Fire. We could change the attribute to Fire. We can special summon out Bran. Now, Bran can deal with something like a set back row or something along those lines. We can deal with whatever it may be, as long as you do have a Plunder Patrol card in your hand. I should mention this. You do have to have at least a Plunder Patrol card in your hand, but with the constant recursion that this deck has, you're oftentimes able to just stick another card into your hand, thanks to Black Eyes, thanks to the additional recursion that you get from the activated effects of your ships. So there's that. And then the last thing that you can also go into is the list. So if you want to change the attribute to light, we can go into list, and then we can negate a monster effect and destroy it, which is also very nice. Or we can also, just during the main phase, we can bring back out one of our equip cards. So say, for example, we had list and a Blackbeard on our side of the field, but this Blackbeard had equipped to it a Redbeard. So say our board looks something like this after the booty activation and the activation of Whitebeard. What we can do is we can actually activate the list. We can special summon out our other guy here, which this one. So we can special summon out our Redbeard, and then we can use the Redbeard effect still before allowing our opponent to activate anything unless it is a quick effect. And then we can go and send this to the graveyard to potentially go for something else, right? Say they have an Ash in the grave, we can go for a Bran, we can banish one of their back row. Say they have a Dark in the grave, we can go into Mowerk, we can banish whatever it is that they could go into. So again, very, very nice, and one of the combos that you can do. We could also just say your opponent doesn't have anything to deal with the list. They go to end of main. You can go like this. You can go, okay, I'm going to now special summon back this guy to the field so that I have him on field for the follow-up turn if need be, right? And then, of course, you can still negate using this this effect here. And then you can also, while it's equipped, add that Plunder Patrol card. So again, a lot of the cards are going to recur that advantage and be able to search out whatever it is that you need. You need another Whitebeard, you got it. You need another Redbeard, you got it. You need a booty, you can search it. So yeah, all in all, very solid there. Now, I want you to imagine you only have golden hair, okay? Golden hair and a discard. You gotta have a discard. Your hand, the rest of your hand, just terrible. Now, you can still do something with the golden hair. As I mentioned, you can go golden hair, go into the Almirage, and then and then golden hair, discard a card in order to special summon itself back. And then we can go and link these off into a Blackbeard. Now, this looks way worse than it actually is. A singular card on your side of the field seems very bad. But you got to remember, if your opponent goes into a fire, a light, or a dark, all of those are massive advantage for us. Reason being, we get to put this guy here. Let's say we got the worst outcome, and we got Bran. And it's all monsters. That's still fine. Reason being, most of the time, especially decks nowadays, they will have a field spell or a continuous spell or some sort of spell or trap that they're going to want to set or activate that you can deal with the brand. So it's not that big of a deal. But with the Blackbeard, you still get to draw a card. So 90% of the deck, okay, not 90, but a lot of the deck is Plunder cards. So if you at least have a Plunder card already in your hand, or if you're hopefully lucky enough to draw into a Plunder card, wow, I'm bad. Oh, right, because I stacked my deck. And I forgot to shuffle it. Hold on. Let me shuffle this. And now we draw a card. Dang it, didn't work. But hopefully you're lucky enough, or at the very least you have another Plunder in your hand already, and you're able to discard that for the fodder. But yeah, just like drawing a card here, even just drawing the Water Enchantress. Sure, I may not be able to activate this, but on the following turn I can just go like this, banish it, and get off to the races with the Rite of Aramesir and the Brave Engine, or the Brave token. So yeah, even just having a Blackbeard on your side of the field is oftentimes enough to survive the turn at the very least, but is also enough to just like get you more advantage to potentially follow up and the like. And oftentimes you're not playing bricks in this deck, so even just seeing another Plunder name is good enough. You could also just see more hand traps, which means that you're potentially stopping your opponent's plays and the like. So there you go. Alright, so I'm going to show you the power of Ships Shipping. This card is very nice, and there's a reason that I use it, and I like it. But let's just start off with a pretty basic thing. We're going to normal summon the Redbeard, and then we are going to use the effect of our Golden Hair in order to pitch this Shipping to the graveyard, and then we get to special summon this card from our hand. Now, we have a few options at this point. We can go into either the, we can go into Moark, we can go into a Blackbeard, or we can go into Bran. All three of those options are available to us, depending on what we want to do. Now, we could also have used the Plunder Patrol Ships Shipping. Instead of special summoning out the Golden Hair, we could go into Liss here. It's not a terrible option, especially considering the fact that with Redbeard, you know what? I'll show you what that would look like in particular. So, say instead of discarding this, we could add, instead of discarding to special summon the Golden Hair, we wanted to go for Liss here. So what we can do is we can activate this, we can send both of these to grave, and then we can special summon out our Liss. So from here, we can actually use the effect of our Redbeard to... There we go. And now this guy becomes equipped, and then we could also special summon out during the main phase to get our another Plunder Patrol to the field. And if we had another Plunder Patrol in hand, that would honestly not be that bad of a field, given the fact that we can tag out for whatever it may be that we may need, or what have you. Now, with that being said, we can also, you know what? Yeah, let's say we bring out Liss, just because. We are going to then special summon out this guy, and then we are going to banish our Shipping in order to equip to our Redbeard a emblem. So we're going to target the Redbeard. We are going to special summon out a Redbeard. Or, sorry, not a Redbeard. We're going to equip to the Redbeard an emblem. Now, I pre-discarded the Ash Blossom, and it is now in the grave. So, we have a fire in our grave, which means we can use this emblem. We can send it to the grave. We can send the Redbeard to the grave. And now we can bring out our Bran. Now, the problem with this is that it does require more or less one-ofs. You don't really want to play these cards. Dang it, I did it wrong. You don't want to play too many of Emblem nor Shipping. Reason being, sure, being able to have a fusion spell is nice, but it does require you to have the two plunders that you need for the list, as well as, while getting to Emblem is also nice, it's not too necessary. It's good for setting up a board like this, but like, you're not going to gain the advantage off of a list, so you're losing out on that equip. you're also setting up kind of a suboptimal board if, like, you kind of have to already have something discarded. Otherwise, you know, if you don't have something discarded, the best that you could go into is a Blackbeard, which again isn't bad, but oh, sorry. But compared to having like a monster negate and potentially a monster banish or a spell and trap card banish, it's not quite the same. It also does lose to just not having a plunder in hand for you to actually activate. So there's that. It's also not bad though. Being able to utilize lists again on the next turn to special summon out your Redbeard again, to use the Redbeard as the target for the Blackbeard, so then you can, you know, tag out into whatever it may be, is still very nice. So, yeah, there you go. Also, this is why a lot of people tend to, well, some people tend to play 3 lists, just because it is kind of like the best one. It's the hardest ship to get into, I would say, just due to the fact that you can't hard make it most of the time. But that's also another reason why it may be worth playing the shipping. So there you go. One more quick thing: if you have Emblem in your hand due to something like this, or whatever it may be, let's say you actually have it in your hand, what you can do is you can actually just activate this and target your opponent's Plunder Patroll card. Whether they stole the monster with like a Monster Reborn, or you're playing a mirror match, you can target their monster, take control of it, use this guy's effect, and then just do the same thing. Which is kind of crazy. And I've done it before, and it's why I play Emblem, because it's just very funny. Alright, so now that we have done the basic combos, there isn't really more that I want to explain, because a lot of it is just like knowing what your opponent can do and being able to just kind of like interact with them on the correct board state, and, you know, understanding the more complexities of Yu-Gi-Oh! And being able to tell, like, oh, what monster do I need to go into? Can I go into Bran and make it work? Can I save Blackbeard's effect until later? Can I, you know, yada yada. So what I'm going to do is, as I always do, I like to do a few test hands. So we're just going to do 2 or 3 here, just because I want to keep this a little bit more as a basics. But this is the starting hand that we got. It's not great, but we did get Shipyard, which is very, very nice. So what we're going to do is we're going to just scale the, or activate it. Then we are going to discard to the graveyard this Terraforming, since we already have 2 Shipyards in our hand, and we can add to our hand the Golden Hair. We can go and normal summon the Golden Hair. We can then link it off for an Almirage, and then we can use the effect here. We could pitch the Shipyard as well, and then keep the 2 hand traps, or we could pitch the Maxi / Infinite Impermanence to keep another Shipyard around. But I think the best option is to actually, we're going to special summon out this, and we're going to pitch the Shipyard. Reason being, Shipyard can grab itself back as long as we have an equip card, or just like a card in the spell and trap card zone. We could just get this guy back onto the field and set it. So that's nice. Also, since we already have the Shipyard, there's no real point in keeping the second one around, especially since it can recur itself. So there's that. Let me just link these 2 off into a Blackbeard. So, as you can see, with the 2 hand traps and the Blackbeard on our side of the field, we have a bit of interaction that our opponent is going to have to deal with. And this guy isn't, our Blackbeard isn't being boosted by anything. But all in all, it is still, you know, it's still Blackbeard Pass, which it's not great, but it's something. Blackbeard and a hand trap, it's something. We didn't have the greatest fans. We drew 3 of the field spell, but I mean, it's nice. Alright, so this hand is rather interesting, because there are 2 plays. One of them is entirely luck dependent, but it's a little bit stronger. But we're going to do the play that is not dependent on luck, and is actually very good. So it does require the normal summon here of our Bluebeard. Kind of weird. You normally want to be special summoning this guy, but we do have the special summon of Black Eyes here, so we're going to send this guy to the graveyard. We are going to then use him to go into Almirage, and then, of course, we will special summon out the Black Eyes. Not what I wanted. Sorry. In order to grab this guy back to our hand. And then we can send both of these to the graveyard in order to go for a Blackbeard. Then with the booty set, we have the discard if we need to for the Plunder Patrol. We also have the Plunder Patrol in the graveyard, as well as Blackbeard. So during our opponent's turn, we get to activate our booty, change to the attribute that we want, say for example dark, and we are able to then not what I wanted. Nope, not what I wanted. Go back. We can then special summon out this guy from the grave, and then we can use the Blackbeard effect. We can target our black eyes. We can equip this guy to our Mowerk, and then Mowerk's effect can activate, and we can send this guy to the grave, finishing out, banishing an effect monster our opponent controls, and we get to search a spell or trap. Hold on. Yeah, add a plunder, spell, or trap. So here we can add to our hand a Shipyard. And there you go. And then, of course, we also have Maxi if we need to. But normally, going for a Mowerk, if it's timed correctly, can be enough to at least prevent them from ending on a board that is very, very strong. Normally, they're not able to deal with the entire board. They're able to deal with maybe a few things. And then, you know, if the Maxi ends up going through, you're able to draw more cards, yada yada. If this was another hand trap, you could potentially imperm them, you could effect veiler them, you could ash them. So there are other things that you could do as well. And then ending with a Shipyard and a discard with the Fateful Adventure. Realistically, you don't want to discard this, but potentially you draw into something else, and you're able to go off to the races with that. So yeah, you know what? I'm going to play out this hand as if we were trying to OTK. So I'm going to say that they deal with the Blackbeard and they deal with the Mowerk, but they're not able to deal with booty. So there's that. However, it does go to the graveyard if they don't have anything. So let's say this is our hand, and yeah, let's draw for turn. Okay, so we get a Black Eyes here, which is very nice. I'm just going to say we never ended up using the Maxi, or this was a different hand trap that never came up, or what have you. Because what we are going to do is we're going to send this to the graveyard in order to search. Don't really know what they would have, whatever it may be. But we are going to search out a monster. So let's search out a... There's a lot of different things that we could search out that would be pretty nice here. Realistically, I think the best one is to just add the Whitebeard to our hand. Yeah, we're going to normal summon out the Whitebeard. And then we are going to activate the effect of our Black Eyes to special summon it and add to our hand a Bluebeard. Then we can go and use both of these in order to go into a... let's go into a Bran here. One of these. This guy's the tuner. Okay, so we're going to send both of these to the graveyard, and we're going to special summon out our Bran. Then we will use the Whitebeard effect. We will special summon out our... let's special summon out the Redbeard. So we'll special summon out the Redbeard. We're going to then special summon out our Bluebeard. And then we will send both of these cards to the graveyard and go for a Blackbeard. At this point, we are plunder locked. At the very beginning with the Black Eyes, we were plunder locked. So there's that. But now we get to activate the effect of our Redbeard here, and we get to equip to the Bran. I think that's the best option for us here. And now Bran, if we had something that we could discard, could have banished another card. But at the very least, we have a 2,600 attack point Blackbeard and a 3,000 attack point Bran. So potentially that gets over stuff. But, you know, if we needed to deal with a back row instead, what we can do is we could have this guy. We still have this guy here, but then we could just discard the Bluebeard in order to banish with the Bran. And then with the Bran, we are able to search out, I think it's a monster. Oh my gosh, please stop. Yeah, so we can search out a monster here with our Bran, and again, we can search out just about anything. All of these cards are, I think, once per turn, right? Yeah, so that's a once per turn. I could go for Golden Hair. Doesn't really do anything here, though. So I'm going to actually just search out a... Because there's ship shape shipping. Which could then get us into lists. You know what? Yeah, let's do that. Let's go ship shape shipping. We're going to activate this. We're going to send both of these to the graveyard in order to make a list. And then the Redbeard will activate. And we will be able to put this guy into the spell and trap card zone. And then away goes the ship shape shipping. Or ship shape shipping. And then we can banish the ship shipping. Oh, sorry. First of all, well, we can quick effect. So we can go chain link 1, ship shape shipping, shipping. There we go. And then chain link 2, we can, gosh dang it. We can special summon out our Redbeard. So Redbeard's on the field, and then we get to equip to it the emblem. Actually, I don't know if we could do that in chain, because I think this targets. Let me... Yeah, so it targets. So, never mind. We wouldn't do that in chain. We would just go list, special, new chain, banish, special, or equip the emblem. And now we have the pick of the litter. We can go for basically anything that we want to here. We have access to fire, we have access to light, we have access to dark, we have access to anything that we need. So there's that. However, again, because we don't have a plunder to discard, we are in a little bit of trouble, right? Just in a little bit of trouble. Now, I do not remember. We didn't have the shipyard, so we already used the shipyard, so we can't use this guy again. Okay, good to know. But we can at the very least send this to the graveyard, and we can go for a second brand, just because it's the biggest. We could also potentially go for a Blackbeard, just to, like, we could tag out with the Blackbeard in order to go into another brand, or a Morik or something like that, if we need to draw a card. But I think actually just going for Bran here to, you know, we now have a 25k and a 30k again, so we can attack in like that, after dealing with a back row and what have you. So there you go. Again, plunders need a plunder to discard for them to really do anything. All right, and here we are once again. But yeah, we have the Water Enchantress, which is very, very nice. So what we can do is, right here we have Whitebeard and Bluebeard. So we can go Whitebeard, special summon out to Bluebeard, and then we can go and link off both of these. However, we don't want to do that yet, because we would be locked into into plungers. So what we're going to do is we're going to banish the Water Enchantress. We're going to use it to search out the Rite of Aramesir. And then we can go for the Rite of Aramesir. We can grab ourselves the token in attack position. We can then activate from the deck the Fateful Adventure. Finally, we didn't draw the actual Fateful Adventure. We can then search the... Now, I did this wrong. Realistically, you should activate the Water Enchantress first. I didn't do that because I'm dumb. So we could just special summon out this guy. Well, we'd search him, special him, and then we would use the effect of the Fateful Adventure in order to grab ourselves a Draco back. There we go. Now we have a Draco back. So now I've got this set up, so now we can do our plays without needing to, or with a Omni Negate on our side of the field. So there's that. So we can send the white and the blue to the grave for another blue. And then we can utilize the effect of our Whitebeard in order to special summon out another monster. I think the best one to go into, unless we have more combos that we can go for, the best one to go for is the Redbeard, just because it does allow us to tag out and then get that equip immediately as well. As well as, like, if you were to, like, link these off, this guy would also be equipped if we wanted to. But yeah, it's just kind of the best one. It can also tag out itself. So yeah, there we go. And then we could end on that as well. So we have the Blackbeard, which could tag itself out into another monster that we need to. We could have the Redbeard to tag out into another monster. We have the Omni Negate, and we have Draco back, as well as the Hand Trap and the token. So again, not a too menacing board, but we also notably have a plunder card to discard, meaning if we do end up utilizing our Redbeard here in order to go into something like a Moark, we can then I clicked overlay instead of special summon because this deck hates me. Anyway, we can go into our Moark. We can use the Moark to discard this card to the grave, and then we can utilize its effect to add back another a spell or trap, which is very nice. So we can add like the Shipyard. Sorry, I didn't mean to send it to the grave. There we go. And then we can use the Blackbeard to maybe go into a Bran. And now we have Bran on our side of the field, which can then discard our Shipyard that we just searched, and we can go and search for a, I don't know, another white beard. We can add this guy to our hand. So yeah, there you go. You know, we had a Moark. If they had it, we could go for a Moark. We can just banish a card. We can go for Bran, which can then banish another card. So yeah, there you go. There you go. Pretty simple. Also, this right here. Oh, not what I wanted. This right here is exact lethal as well, because it's 2,000, 2,000, 150, or sorry, 1,500, and then 2,500. So 1,500, 2,500, 2,000, 2,000, that's 8,000 exactly, which is hilarious. There you go. So yeah, that is the basics of Plunder Patrol. I know it's a lot, but that's kind of the deck. There is a lot more to go into, and that we could potentially talk about with Plunders, just because there is a lot of different things that you can do. But a few important things to remember is you need a Plunder Patrol card in your hand to utilize any of the effects of any of the worthwhile effects, the negate, the banish, and the banish. All of those require a discard. But you gain advantage off of the effects when they resolve. So as long as you have one plunder, you should be good. On top of that, utilizing the Rite of Aramesir prior to getting plunder locked is also very important. You don't want to be plunder locked before you are able to go into your the rest of that. Because it does just lock you for the rest of the turn. So prior to that, you can still go into whatever it may be. On top of that, remembering how to get to Toad is the only other thing that's really important outside of the basic plunder stuff. And yeah, that's basically it. Hopefully this helped someone learn the basics of plunder. But yeah, that's going to be it. Hope that you guys did indeed enjoy it. If you want an advanced version, I'd need to learn the deck more myself and actually play it. So don't look out for that anytime soon. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully this helped, and if it did, drop a like down below, leave a comment telling me all of that stuff, yada yada. Thank you guys so much for watching, and remember to always stay frosty. Bye bye.